The weather miraculously cleared when we reached the Scottish borders, and in a short time we arrived in Langholm, our destination for the day. After a quick stop for directions, we located the Border House Bed and Breakfast, parked our motorcycles in the rear of the building, and took a quick look around town before turning in for the night. The next morning, our host Jillian prepared us a hearty breakfast in their glassed-in patio, which overlooked an attractive garden. When we finished, we walked to the nearby Clan Armstrong Trust Museum, where our very Scottish guide, Frank, took us on a tour of the so-called Reaver Trail and the picturesque pasture lands of the area. Our first stop was the ruins of Hermitage Castle, from which its owner, Lord Solus, had guarded what was once known as the bloodiest valley in the land. Then on to view the Milnholm Cross, monument to one of the early Armstrong lairds. Another half-mile up a nearby back road is Eddleton Cemetery, the final resting place of several of the early Armstrong lairds and other family members. Next we moved on to Rowanburn to view the red sandstone statue of Lang Sandy, a well-known Armstrong reaver in the early 1600s. Continuing further down the trail, we met the 86 years young Ted Armstrong at Gilnookie Tower. The tower, located on an idyllic site on the west bank of the River Esk, is said to have belonged to the famous reaver Johnny Armstrong. The tower is remarkably well preserved, and Ted entertained us with historical tidbits as we ascended the spiral staircase to the top of the imposing stone structure. As we concluded our visit, Ted threw us an enthusiastic Armstrong salute, which, even though we felt a bit silly, we were obliged to return. Perhaps the most famous of the border reavers was Johnny Armstrong, known by many of his followers as the Robin Hood of his era. Our last stop was at Carlinsrigg to visit his final resting place. At this point, our tour was finished. We thanked our new friend Frank for his knowledgeable guidance through the Reaver Trail and headed north.